Okay, good afternoon. We're going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions with like denominators. Okay, so if I told you, if I gave you two halves, how much would that equal up to? Two halves of something. It would equal to a whole one? Okay, so why do people do stuff like this? Because see, if I simplify that, that's equal to a half. So we can't do that. So you told me that these two halves was equal to one whole. So we get that by adding 1 plus 1, which is 2, and we don't add the denominators, and then we simplify. So it makes sense that two halves is equal to a whole. So if it doesn't make sense that two halves is equal to a half, it doesn't make sense that doesn't make sense either. 2 6 plus 5 6 is not equal to 7 twelfths. 2 6 plus 5 6 is 2 plus 5 over 6. So it's 7 over 6. So you add, write this in your notes, you add the denominator. I'm sorry, numerator. Excuse me. You add the numerator and you don't add numerators and don't add the denominators. Denominators. Okay, I'm going to step out of the screen for a minute and give you all a chance to write that down. So remember, when we're adding fractions, we add the numerators, but we do not add the denominators. I see a few people still writing, so I'm gonna give you time to write. Don't ever feel like you're in a big rush. Okay. Same thing for subtraction. So if I have 2/3 minus 1/3, I'm going to subtract the numerator. 2 minus 1 is 1. And my denominator is 3. So we're going to subtract the denominator. I keep doing the same thing. To subtract the numerator. But don't subtract the denominator. Y'all need to start charging me a quarter every time I get denominator and numerator messed up. And it's as simple as this. Okay, so let's see. Let's do an area model. So that's 3 parts. 2/3 is this many, right? If I take away one of them, so I'm dealing with this right here. That's 2 out of 3. So if I take away one of them, I'm left with 1/3. Okay, so it works the same way for, was anybody still writing? I can bring it back. Okay. But sometimes we have unlike denominators. And we're going to have to pull back to something. It was the second indicator, I believe it was, LCM. Y'all remember that one? LCM? Anybody remember what it stood for? Least common multiple. So, when we're dealing with fractions, we call it the least common denominator. So we're going to use the concept of LCM, least common multiple, to find the LCD, the least common denominator. So for example, let's review LCM. And remember, like when you're doing those fractions, nothing wrong with doing a little math on the side. So let's review LCM. Let's do the LCM of 4 and 6. So remember our birthday cake, upside down cake? We put 4 and 6. Is it coming back to you? Yeah. I'm slowing down. I feel myself going too fast. I had to put on the mental brakes in my mind. And say, stop in the name of math so we can take our notes. Okay. All right. What goes into 4 and 6 an equal number of times? Who? 2. So 2 goes into 4. 2 times 2 goes into 6. How many times? 3. Now remember, LCM. We're going to draw our L. So here's our L. Remember that? So coming back, 2 times 2 times 3. Got to multiply all of these. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So that is my LCM. And if I were adding fractions, 4 and 6, it would also be my least common denominator. With the denominators of 4 and 6, 12 would also be my least common denominator. Anybody remember what we call this number over here by itself? Starts with the G. Greatest common factor. All right. All right. So let me show you a fraction with these two. So I'm going to add 1/4 plus 1/6. So I need both numbers on the bottom to be the same. You cannot add or subtract fractions unless the denominators are alike. So we have to find the LCM, which we already did. That'll be our math off to the side. And the more you do these, you'll do them in your head. Now, the next step, we know our LCM is 12. So both of my numbers on the bottom need to be 12. How can I make that 4 or 12? What am I multiplied by? 3. And we're going to use our dot for multiplication. In the name of all math and keeping things equal, if I multiply that denominator by 3, I have to multiply the numerator by 3. Because 3 divided by 3 is what? Who? Who said it? 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I'm really multiplying by 1. Okay, here. How do I make that 6 or 12? Multiply by,
2.
and if I do it here, I got to do it in the numerator. So now 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 2 is 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Now I can add them. I'm going to add my numerators, keep my denominator the same. Why do I what? Why do I multiply what by what? Because the denominators have to be the same. That one's 4 and that one's 6. So I have to make both of them my LCM. Oops, I missed some. Okay, let me try another one. Okay, I did the LCM of, well, let me do this. I'm just using 1 at the top. Plus 112 plus 118. Okay, my denominators must be the same. So I have to find my least common denominator. And I said the least common denominator was also the what? Least common multiple. So find the LCM. So I need to find the LCM of 12 and 18. That is really a 12. So I do my upside down birthday cake. What goes into 12 and 18? 2. So 2 goes into 12 6 times. 2 goes in 18 how many times? 9. Okay. What goes into 6 and 9? 3. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So now I got my L. Got to draw my L. All of these, I got to multiply all these together. These 2 times 3 is 6. That's going to be my GCF, but I need my LCM. So 2 times 3 times 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, times 2 is 18. No. 3 times 2 is 6, times 2 is 12, times 3 is 36. So that LCM is also my least common denominator. So that's, I need my denominator to be 36. So, I forgot your name already. What's your name again?
Adeline. Adeline.
Oh, Adeline. That's right. I need to make both of these a 36 because they have to be the same in order for me to add them. I can't add them like that. Okay, so how do I make a 12 to 36? Multiply by 3. So I have to do top and bottom. 18, I'm going to multiply by 2. So 1 times 3 is 3. 12 times 3 is 36. 1 times 2 is 2. 18 times 2 is 36. So now my denominators are the same. So Kamara, I'm going to add 3 plus 2 and get 5. And I'm not going to do anything with my denominator except write it down. I think I put an assignment up. Let's see. Anybody still writing? Can I erase? Anybody say wait? Going once, going twice. Okay, so now let's do 3/4 plus 2/5. So I need to find the LCM. What goes to the 4 and 5?
One.
1. So 1 goes to the 4 4 times. 1 goes in 5 5 times. My L, 1 times 4 times 5 equals 20. So I need to make both of these a 20. Both of these denominators. So I'm going to multiply this by 5 and this by 5. And then I'm going to multiply this by 4 and this by 4. $15 plus 8 is 23 over 20. I'm going to have to check with the 6th grade team, but this is okay for me. But it may not be okay for the standard where you convert it into, that's an improper fraction. And in a certain point in your life, you keep converting them to mixed fraction. If I convert it to a mixed fraction, it's going to be 1 and 3/20. But I'll find out and we'll go over how to do that. Are there any questions? Okay, there is a practice assignment up, but just take your time with that because you have a test.